I'm here with the Vegas Eternal, and their newly announced players. It's a full squad of 3 that have been signed to the organization, and Avalla is also here and will be providing the translation. I guess, considering this is a little bit of a round panel, we'll go pointed questions, but this is also open for everyone to answer. Some questions will be towards the entire cast, other will be pointed. Let's start with Knife. So, the format for this season is a little murky because you competed, of course, with O2 Blast, and it is your rookie year. But the question is, how does it feel? Do you now feel you have arrived in the Overwatch League, or did you already do that because you competed against the OWL teams in APAC?
So when he came to Vegas, it really came to him that he has finally made it to the league, because O2 is like a contenders team, whereas Vegas, even though our name has changed, it's a league team that has been there for a long time. So this feels like a real step up to the league now.
Sweet. Now, both Toyou and Irony have competed in the Overwatch League before. And, of course, that you now also competed in the APAC region. The thing is, theoretically speaking, you could have just competed there as well. So I guess the question is a little bit different than the one to Knife, to you, is what made you join the Vegas Eternal instead of, playing the Overwatch League with O2?
Obviously, like, rather than playing in contenders and for contenders, if you play in the league, you're able to play on a bigger stage. So when he had the opportunity, he decided to grab it. And right now, obviously, Vegas isn't doing very well in terms of its performance. So in the future, they're like very excited to pull that result up and win more in the future.
Is that the same for Irony? How does Irony see it?
So last year, other than Grand Finals and midseason, because he was on the East Overwatch League team, he wasn't able to play a lot of games on the West, so he wanted to come to the West to like play with the West teams as well. And also, Vegas looked at him in a really good way, so when he came, he thought that he would be very freely able to do what he wants to do in the game, so that also played a big part of it.
Sweet. Now, Knife and Irony, you guys play together in O2. Did you want to stick together?
For Knife, he really wanted to be with Irony because Irony is funny, he is good, and they have a very playstyle that fits well together, so he thought it would have been great if he's on the same team. Irony, he said, he didn't really want to play with Knife because he doesn't talk a lot. So that was a joke. He's really young, and he has a very high potential in Irony's eyes, and he is continuously developing and getting better. So if he tries his hardest, then he thinks that he'll become a really good player. So he's really excited to have the opportunity to play with him again.
Right. Now, O2, for I would say at least the last 2 years, has been the premier talent forge in Overwatch League. Like, all of the best talents come from that Korean Contenders team. What makes them so good at developing that talent? And are you looking to bring those lessons into the Paris Eternal? Vegas Eternal, of course.
Knife said in O2, the team was very free, so the players were able to talk with each other and do what the playstyle that they wanted to do, and that was really useful. So if he is able to on Vegas, that's what he would like to strive to do. And Irony said they're actually doing the stuff that we're doing on O2 with Vegas. Like, after the scrims are done, he talks with the teammates a lot. And it's not so more like doing exactly as he was doing on O2, but like he knows that at O2 we did this and this, and he would tell our current players that, and then they will like use that to make their own play. And the other teammates are quite satisfied with that way of doing stuff, so he thinks that it is really useful.
Now, in the past, it felt like, because of Korean Contenders as well, especially, let's say, during Season 4, when the Shanghai Dragons were dominant, we heard, like, rumors that O2 Blast, at that time, with Proper and Pelican, were competitive with the best team in the Overwatch League, which was the Shanghai Dragons. Since then, felt like it has dropped off a little bit. Yes, O2 Blast was competitive with Soul Infernal, who are probably the best in APAC. but APAC as a whole feels like it has fallen now behind the West. Of course, also because of transfers, but it feels like if it was still the same quality of player development, APAC would still probably be the better region. So what is the situation in Korean Contenders like? And are the young, talented players still interested in Overwatch? And how is the funding?
그 나이프
So
말에
Knife
좀
said
공감하는
that
게
there is a true
저가
lack of
나름
a
선수를
talent
한지 좀
pool.
됐는데
He really
예전에
hopes that
비해서
in the
뭔가
future,
경쟁력
young
있는
players and
선수들이
players who are good,
그
like
아직
increase
있긴
in their
하지만 수가
numbers. And
전에
Irony
비해 좀
agrees
많이
with
줄은
Knife a
느낌이
lot.
있거든요.
He's
그게
been
이제
a
약간
professional player
코로나랑
for quite a
겹치면서 좀
while
있는 것
there,
같고
but there
구단
are
내에서
still
직접적으로 수익을
competitive
창출할
players, but the
방법이 되게
number of the
적으니까
competitive players
이제
as compared to
운영도
before has
힘든 것
reduced a
같아요. 그것
lot.
때문에 약간
And
두 개가
especially with
맞물려서
COVID,
이제 좀
like it is really
운영이 잘
hard
안
for the
굴러가는
orgs to
컨텐더스가
create their own
약간 그런
profit.
느낌인 것
So
같아요.
even the management itself is really
소유님은요?
hard. So with those two
저도
together,
의견
he
비슷하긴
feels like
한데 일단
Contenders Korea is a little
금전적으로는
bit rough right
많이
now.
부족한 팀들이 많다고
And Toyou has a
생각하고
similar opinion where
그리고
ultimately he does think
컨텐더스에서
that
리그
there is a
쪽으로
lot of
잘하는 선수들은 많이
things that are
빠지는데
lacking in terms
그만큼
of the teams.
아래쪽에서 올라오는
And
선수들은 많이
from
없다고
Contenders, there's a
생각이
lot of
들어서
teams going to the league,
모르겠는데
but from T3, there's not a lot of good players that are coming up to Contenders. So ultimately, that is a big issue he sees.
For sure. Now, to you, you've been outside of the Overwatch League for about a season and a half, and I think a lot of people still remember you, and I think it's fair to expect that you improved and also made additions to your hero pool. So how would you describe yourself as a player now?
일단
So,
컨텐더스
while
무대를
playing for
뛰면서랑
Contenders,
팀이
he was
없던
able
시절 때
to
괜히
develop
연습을
himself
하면서
individually a lot.
게임적으로
Like in
보면
game wise,
유연식도
his
많이
hero pool has gotten a
늘었고요.
lot
그래서
wider. And yet,
작년에
last year, while he was playing
컨텐더스랑
Contenders
쇼다운에서
Pacific
이제
Showdown
준우승
and
할 때 많이
becoming
많은
runner-up, he
영웅들
was able to show a
보여드리면서
lot of his like
좋은
hero
모습
pools
보여드리기도
in that
했고
tournament.
그리고
And
게임
even like
내적으로 그냥
internally,
심적
his
마인드적으로도
mindset has
많이
changed a lot.
변화된 것 같아요. 더
So that's
단단해진.
a lot of the improvements that he's made.
Sure. I guess the same question to Irony for fans that maybe haven't kept up with the APAC region and your improvements there. How would you describe how you've improved as a player and your hero pool as well?
So last year he played in the
저는
league, and
이제
this year it
작년에
feels
리그에서
like he got
뛰고
demoted to
이번 연도에 어떻게
Contenders.
보면
So he really
컨텐더스에
thought
떨어진
about
느낌이잖아요.
what did I
그래서
lack that made me
이제 이번
come to Contenders
컨텐더스를
and get like
와서
demoted. So
분명 이제
for
무언가를
half of the
부족했기
season while he was
때문에
playing
리그 쪽에서
Contenders,
떨어졌다
he
생각을
studied a
했고
lot on O2
그거를
Blast.
반 시즌 동안
And
오토에서
in
되게
game
많이
now,
공부를
because
했던
he
것
studies
같아요.
so much,
그래서
he has a lot
실질적으로
of
인게임적으로도 여유가
a lot
많이
of
나고
patience
여유가
and
많이
a
나오니까
lot
다른
of
팀원들이
room to
이제
think about. So he's
뭔가
able
잘못된
to fill
행동을
the
했을 때
stuff that other
메꿔주는
teammates, when
식의
they fuck up,
플레이도
he's
좀
able
자주
to
나오는 것 같아서
cover their play up.
스스로
And so
플레이하는
that's
거에
why
대해서
he was
되게 지금
really
만족을 하고
satisfied
있고
on Contenders. And maybe
약간
this is
좀
him
자만하는
like
걸
too
수도 있는데
prideful or
작년
thinking
항저우에서
too much,
하는
but he
것보다
honestly
지금
thinks
베가스에서
compared to
핑
last year
170으로
when he was playing
하는
for
제가
Hangzhou
플레이를
and
더
on
잘할 수도
Vegas right
있다고
now
스스로
on
믿고
ping,
있어요.
he thinks that his current performance is better. So we'll have to see, but that's how he feels right now at least.
Can you answer who he studied? Is there specific players that he looked at the boards of?
So he had two coaches at the
일단은
time on
그
O2 Blast,
코치
Goltek
두
and
분이
Yark. So
계셨거든요.
he was able to
꿀택님이랑
learn
이제
a lot of
야그님이
like game
계셨는데 두
management
분한테
through
이제
those two coaches. And in
기본적인 게임
O2,
운영에 대한
the
거를 많이
environment,
배웠고
the
이제 그걸
atmosphere was
토대로
very
오토가 되게
free, so it
자유로운
was easy to
분위기라서
communicate
선수들이랑
with
의사소통이
people.
되게 쉬웠거든요.
Because he is a flex
뭔가
support, he
물어보고
really felt like he needed to
알아야
learn
되고
about
근데 제가
what
플레이하는 영웅이
what
약간
players need and
서브힐러다
what they want.
보니까
So
저희
the
팀 나머지 네
communication,
명이
being able
뭘
to do that
원하고
really
뭘
helped.
필요로
And
하는지에
he doesn't think
대한
like
거를 많이
not only
공부를
one
해야 된다고
person's opinion
느꼈어요.
matter,
그래서
all
이제
four of them matter.
그거를 많이
So like the
알고나
free
많이 얘기를
atmosphere of
하면서
O2
소통을
Plus allowed
했는데
him to really develop that area.
Sweet, and we'll definitely talk about communication in a bit. But let me also ask Knife first, because I did a little bit of research. I asked a little bit around what people thought of Knife's play. Everyone has this idea. This could be one of the dark horse picks this season, especially in the mid-season pickups. So how would you describe your play style and your hero pool to Western audiences that might have never seen you play?
일단 저는 피지컬로 상대를 좀 죽이는 그런 플레이 좀 많이 하고 영포 같은 경우는 일단 트레이서가 첫 번째고 두 번째가 메이, 세 번째가 한조 이렇게 됩니다.
첫 번째 뭐라고 하셨죠? 죄송해요, 놓쳤어요.
트레이서요, 트레이서.
아니 무슨 플레이를 많이 하신다고요?
피지컬로 상대를 좀 끼고 누르는 그런 플레이.
아, So Knight thinks he's a really mechanical player. Like he really likes to overwhelm his opponents with his mechanics. And the three heroes he is probably most strong at is Tracer, Mei, and Hanzo.
If he had to name a player in the NA region that he feels like he plays mostly like, who would he say?
서부에서 본인 플레이 스타일이랑 가장 비슷한 선수가 있다면 어떤 선수일까요?
스토커 선수. 피지컬이 너무 뛰어나셔서.
He thinks if he had to pick one, probably Stalker, but he thinks Stalker does have a better mechanics than him.
Sure. Now, of course, you guys retained Dove, and therefore there is a little bit of overlap theoretically, at least from what Dove played during the season. Not always, but sometimes. Have you guys decided already like how the hero pool is going to be shared between the two of you?
라이프 선수는 아무래도 썸머 녹다운 경기 때는 거의 트레이서만 플레이하셨잖아요. 근데 같은 팀에 있는 도브 선수도 그간 경기 때 주로 트레이서만을 했는데 트레 메타가 오면 누가 트레이서를 할 예정이신가요?
아마 제가 거의 하지 않을까 생각합니다.
He thinks that he'll most likely play Tracer.
For sure. Have you guys started scrimming yet after the trials?
서로 같이 테스트 이후에 스크림은 해보셨나요?
네, 좀 잘 맞는 것 같고 좀만 더 서로 피드백하거나 그렇게 고치면은 성적 좀 좋게 나올 것 같아서 기대됩니다.
Yeah, so we scrimmed each other a lot, and he says that he is really satisfied with our performance right now. So if we're able to do feedbacks with each other and adjust a little bit, he really thinks we can perform well in the matches coming up.
Sweet. Of course, you're also in a new environment. With that comes a new head coach. What are your first initial impressions of Empress?
감독님 이미지
So Knife says she was really funny and she was really nice. So which really surprised him because in his head, a head coach is like scary, a bit strict, but Empress was really funny. So that was like really nice. And then Irony said, "Are you trying to snipe someone with that comment right there?" And then Irony said, when we are communicating or when we're doing feedback, Empress is able to second his opinion a lot, and he really tries to push his opinion. So it was easier to communicate with the other two players that were retained. And Toyou said she jokes around a lot, so she has that funny side of her. And also when she talks, she really is considerate to the players. So he thinks that she is really nice.
Sweet. Now, there's one elephant in the room, and that is that you guys will have to compete on ping. Do you think that's a big issue going into the second half of the season?
Knife said, I'm worried a little, but honestly not too worried about it. But on the contrary, Irony said he is worried a little bit because a support needs to, save your teammate. But because of ping, min-maxing your skills is almost impossible. And any play that you take with a risk is honestly really hard. But honestly, the ping itself isn't really a big issue. It's more so having to play in, very early mornings that makes it really difficult for him. And Toyou says there was this is the first time he is playing on high ping. So it is really hard for him because he's a frontline, so he needs to take the attention. But because of the ping, that's almost hard.
Irony, on what ping are you playing, and when do matches usually start for you guys?
보통 경기가 몇 시에 시작하세요? 선수분들 시차로는?
대회 말씀인 건가요?
둘 다 여쭤보시는 것 같아요.
그 한국에서 컨텐츠 할 때요? 아니면 지금?
네, 지금요, 지금.
아마 거의 한 새벽 3시에서 아침 10시 사이 아닐까요?
He thinks that most likely it will happen between 3 a.m. to 10 a.m. in the morning.
Okay. Yeah. And the ping?
핑은 170.
Ping is around 170.
All right. Now, the second challenge is, of course, that you'll play in a hybrid roster. Now, Irony has some experience here, even though it was with Chinese players, but presumably, at least what we heard, that was also that you guys comped in English. Are you guys comfortable communicating with your fellow players, or is it still, are you trying to figure out the language barrier?
저 못한다는 게
So Knife said coming on this
깨달았고,
team made him realize he was
배워야겠다고
really bad at
생각했어요.
English.
어,
So
저도 있어요?
he
저는-
is going to try to learn a bit more.
저는 이제 약간
Irony thinks,
영어
honestly,
의사소통
English
약간 자신감이라
communication,
생각해서
it's all about your
문법 같은
confidence. So he
거는 다
doesn't even
신경
care
안
about
쓰고
grammar. And
그냥
last year he really felt
작년에
like
하면서
words
그냥
are more
단어만
important.
중요하다
Because if you say
생각하거든요.
an important
예를
word,
들어 이제
all the
중요한
players
단어를
usually
얘기를
have like a
하면은
similar
이제 웬만한
common
선수들은
goal.
다
So for example, if
잘하니까
you're just
공격
gonna
목표가 다
play in the front a
비슷해가지고
little and then
이제
come
약간
back,
이제 뭐
if you just say
저희가 앞에서 한
baiting,
번
then
하고
all the
빠질 거라
players will
하면 베이팅만
understand.
말해도
So
약간
he honestly
알아들어서
thinks doing
그런
that
중요
will help our
단어들만
communication
좀
issue, and
서로가
it will be really easy
인지하고
to solve
하면은
our
금방
communication
소통 문제 해결될 것
within
같아요.
in the game. And Toyou said because he's only been on a Korean team, in Korean he usually plans the big plans a lot and then in detail goes in a bit more, but because of his English he can only do the big plan right now. But the in-game little detail comms are also important too. So afterwards he started to, after he got on Vegas, he started to look for a lot of like English stuff so that he could do those.
Sure. Now, another adjustment you guys will have to make is the type of style that is played in the North American region. And is there a noticeable difference in how it's done in North America from maybe from your VOD reviews or initial impressions? And what do you think you will have to really study up on?
So Knife says, unlike the East, the West's tempo is really fast, so he thinks that we'll need to find a way to react to those fast tempos. Irony agrees with what Knife said, and also the West is not afraid to try new things compared to the East. So because he's already played on the East, he wants to learn a lot from the West and become better. And Toyou says there's a lot of teams on the West, so he has looked up a lot of like West games. And he thinks that because the West is good, their map understanding, their comp understanding, there's a lot of details to the stuff that he could learn also. So yeah, he thinks that he'll also learn a lot from playing in the West.
For sure. Now, let's be honest. I think in terms of track record, you guys can only improve from the first half of the performance. And your schedule looks relatively forgiving. So depending, especially, you're playing Shock twice. Depending on how they come out of the break, they still have the same performance from this first half. Maybe there's something to be done here. So what is your personal and your team goal for the second half of the season?
이번 시즌도 잘해서 다음 시즌의 리그에 남는 것이고 이번 팀 목표는 무조건 플레이잉 하는 것입니다.
The Knife says his individual goal this season is to be good this season so that he can stay in the league for next. And team goal is definitely to make it into play-ins. Irony, his individual goal is to have the perception from the public that he is a good player, even in the West. And his goal is maybe playoff will be hard, but to show a great performance so that we are close to making it to playoff. And Toyou said similarly, he wants to get the public perception that he is good in the West as well. Team play-wise, first goal is to get into the play-ins, and then the second goal is obviously to make it to the playoffs. 네.
Sweet. Now, of course, for you guys, you're playing late at night, you're playing on ping, you're a new team, you have to find together. You have all these obstacles, and you're on a team that has relatively, like a trajectory that can only point upwards. Still, do you feel pressure in your position to perform?
너무 즐겁기 때문에 일단 이게 온 게 앞으로 경기를 다 즐길 수
So
있을 것
Knife
같습니다.
says, honestly, no pressure because he is really happy that he made it to the league. So honestly, any game moving forward, he'll be able to enjoy it. Irony says we're doing it in a bad condition, but honestly, like we did the Vegas is so bad in the first half that there's nothing for them to lose. So unless you show a worse performance than what the previous roster did, there is a little bit of pressure than that. But honestly, the big goal is to perform well and make a good performance. For Toyou, he also says that we're starting from the bottom. There is no way to go up but here. So really no pressure. And he's honestly confident that we can make a good result. So yeah, he doesn't feel a lot of pressure either.
Awesome. Then thank you guys for the interview and best of luck in your preparation for the second half of the season.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.